A major scheme to cut the emissions of cars and boost the uptake of electric vehicles will be substantially wound back if the coalition wins the election. From July, car makers will be hit with penalties for exceeding an emissions ceiling in their total sales.
But the opposition leader Peter Dutton has dubbed it an unfair tax. They're his words on families, with the costs of some heavy polluting models expected to jump. Our political reporter Jake Evans is travelling with the coalition in Perth. Jake, good morning. What do we know so far about what the coalition is actually planning on vehicle emissions?
Good morning, James. Yes, opposition leader Peter Dutton is declaring these laws designed to cut vehicle emissions an unfair tax on cars, a repeat of a line the coalition has used at previous elections, vowing to unpick them if he wins government. The new vehicle efficiency standard is due to take force in just a few months' time, penalising car makers who exceed emission limits set by the government. But the industry had actually asked to be regulated, saying Australia was alone with Russia in lacking climate laws for cars, and that was making it more difficult to get access to in-demand electric vehicles. Now, with United States President Donald Trump's tariffs on foreign automobiles, they fear uncertainty will be compounded by these laws. Peter Dutton is in Perth today, and he's using the visit to warn that the laws could push up the price of cars when they take effect, saying that can't happen with households already under pressure. If elected, the coalition is saying it would set the penalty rate under the scheme to $0, effectively removing it, saying though that the underlying scheme would still be in place, and that would be an incentive for car makers to continue to sell fuel-efficient vehicles. And so the coalition is now offering a package of relief on gas, the fuel excise and now vehicle emissions that it says will ease the burden for industry and households, but it would also make achieving Australia's climate targets harder, targets the coalition already suggests can't be reached.
Yes, more than an echo of the last election in this announcement. How has Labor responded?
Well, Labor says that the scheme still has the industry's backing despite the global uncertainty, and they point to overseas markets where these laws have been in place for decades, saying cars remain competitively priced there. They also suggest that car makers who accrue credits under the scheme could actually use them to lower car prices. Now, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is in Darwin today, where he'll likely face questions on the issue. This is a sandbagging visit for Labor. It already holds the two top-end seats of Solomon and Lingiari, but Lingiari, which covers most of the territory outside Darwin, is on a thin 1.7% margin, and the Darwin seat of Solomon, while on a more comfortable 8.4%, the coalition has felt buoyed by recent results at the NT election and thinks it could pick up that seat too. So Labor making a defensive play in its visit today.
All right, Jake, thank you. And a reminder that News Breakfast will be heading on the road next week. We'll be broadcasting live from Perth. We hope you tune in.
Let's take you overseas now, where the market turmoil continues to hit US stocks. They're down again amid the worsening trade war between the US and China. North America correspondent Carrington Clark is on Wall Street.
After yesterday's almost euphoric post-pause announcement rally, today it appeared that perhaps reality set in about what this new high tariff setting means for the United States and for its companies and their potential earnings. The United States is now facing a situation where it has the highest tariffs in place for more than a century, and that is likely to cause not only imports to slow but also growth to slow. The United States is also placing, in addition to that 10% baseline tariff on the exports of most countries to the United States, on China there is a 145% tariff. Now that's higher than the 125% that we heard from Donald Trump yesterday, and it really shows how at odds these two major economic powers really are. China is also placing major tariffs on the United States, trying to export to China, and this is going to not only hurt their trade relationship, but is also likely to hurt global growth. Today, Donald Trump said he was aware that this new high tariff regime is likely to cause some short-term pain, but he says people must remain focused on his end goal, which he says is about returning factories and jobs to the United States.
We think we're in very good shape. We think we're doing very well. Again, there'll be a transition cost and transition problems, but in the end, it's going to be a beautiful thing. We're doing again what we should have done many years ago. We let it get out of control.
Donald Trump says he is open to negotiations. That 90-day pause on the country-specific tariffs that came into effect yesterday before being paused allows them time to negotiate with individual countries to try to get a better deal for America, he says.
Carrington Clark reporting there. In other news, the IVF clinic behind a mix-up that led to a woman giving birth to a stranger's baby has apologised. Monash IVF says it will launch an independent investigation after a woman received the wrong embryo at its Brisbane clinic. The major fertility company says it was due to human error.
The ABC can reveal a remote weapon system designed and built by Australian company Electro-Optic Systems was one of dozens of counter-drone technologies tested by the Israeli Defence Force. The Defence Department says no Australian weapons are being exported to Israel, but an industry source says the weapon components were first sent to the United States for assembly before being shipped to Israel without Australian export approval.
South Australia's SES wants holidaymakers to rethink their outback travel plans, with dozens of roads closed amid heavy flooding in the state's northeast. Water levels broke the 1974 flood level at Inaminka yesterday.
New figures out this morning show political parties have spent more than $2 million on social media and online advertising so far this election. The major parties have spent almost $1.4 million combined on Facebook, Instagram and Google, with experts expecting online advertising records to be broken. Clive Palmer's Trumpet of Patriots has paid Google more than $500,000 for advertising over the same period.
Italian fashion house Prada has announced it's buying rival Versace in a deal worth $2.2 billion. The sale brings Versace back under Italian control after it was purchased by US luxury group Capri Holdings back in 2018. Prada has a market capitalisation of about $25 billion and is the largest Italian luxury fashion group by revenue.